Hey y'all, today I'm going to be working on a bouquet of sunflowers, also using some dried elements mixed in. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know when the latest videos are up. And make sure you drop me a comment below. Are you still producing sunflowers within your garden? I have been sowing succession after succession after succession, but let me show you what my absolute favorite sunflower is right now. Okay, so I have to say I am absolutely in love with this Gold Light Pro Cut sunflower. I am over the moon. Just absolutely love them. I think they're just the most beautiful, perfect little sunflowers. Absolutely enjoying them. I do have some in here that are not as fresh, and I did want to show you that you can actually remove the petals from the sunflower. Let me do that for you guys. And use just the center in your arrangements. So don't throw away a sunflower just because the petals are coming off, because look how fun that texture is right there. Absolutely beautiful. So fun, so interesting. So I'm going to be utilizing these Gold Light sunflowers in the design. I'm also going to be utilizing for the first time my cardinal basil, and you can see what it's done. It started producing almost this plume of dark purple reddish leaves at the top. It smells amazing. It grows very, very long stems. I actually have some, you can see it just right outside the window, right over there. It grows really, really long stems, and I really love what it's starting to do at the top. This is going to get bigger. I went ahead and picked some, even though they're in the smaller state, just because I was so excited. I can't wait to use them. And then I'm also going to be working with some celosia. It's a bright pink celosia. I don't know the variety. This has reseeded itself multiple times in my garden. This is a darker pink, and then this one's a little bit of a lighter pink over here. And so anyway, I'm going to leave a lot of the foliage on here because I really like it. And then I'm also be working with some dried elements, which I know y'all are like, what? So these are dried branches that I actually cut out of my boxwoods at the beginning of the season. And I love the look of them with sunflowers. I think it's got a very rustic look. And so I thought, you know what? What the heck? I'm going to go for it. All right, so the vessel I'm going to be utilizing is kind of unique, and it is a brass vessel that I got from the thrift store, but you can see its original price of $43.95, probably several decades ago. And so I really, really like it. It's super heavy. It's kind of a lower stature, excuse me, lower stature, but I think it'll look really fun with this mix of flowers in it. So I think I'm going to be designing in my hand today and then putting the whole design into the pot. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start by pulling out my sunflowers. The ones that look really good, I'm going to put in their own pile. Remove any additional leaves that I don't want. The ones that don't look as great, I'm going to go ahead and pull off the little petals. Just like I was showing you at the first of the video. Oh, that sucks. Okay. I'll be more gentle on the next one. Any ones that look good, I'm just going to lay out. Any ones where the petals aren't as awesome, go ahead and pull them off and make their own pile. I mean, look how gorgeous that is. I love that. It's definitely a fun way to utilize your sunflowers, even when their petals are less than perfectly fresh. Super fun. I did have a few snapdragons in here, but I waited too long and they don't look as great, so I'm going to put those over. I've got the basil right here, and I've got my celosia ready to go over here. Looks like I do have a few browning leaves in a few places, so I'm going to go through, pick those off. good. Let's see. Remember, I'm always removing the leaves from the lower portion of the stem, just because I don't want that sitting in the water, because it will turn your water quicker and can add disease to the water. Okay, let me look over here at the dried. We'll pull off some of these lower ones. These are a little bit harder to pull off because these are dry. But I still want to have the lower portions of the stem nice and clean, so it's easy to use. Okay, let's start designing. As always, I like to start with a larger element, and big elements I have this time are the celosia. So I'm going to start with a couple of celosia in my hand like this. Then I'm going to start working in some of these larger pieces of basil. I'm absolutely in love with this cardinal basil, y'all. I'm just totally psyched about them. I've been wanting to grow it for a little while, and it's excellent for cut flower use. Okay, so I'm not going to go too far in before I go ahead and start adding in some of these dried elements. I like the idea of contrast in this dried bouquet. I want it to kind of look fresh from the field, kind of look and inspiration. And as always, I am right-handed, so I'm actually designing in my left hand, and I'm using my right hand to add elements into the design. Rotating my bouquet as I go. We'll say I feel like the dried elements are kind of hard to work with, I would say. Just because the stem is obviously not very malleable, because it's dried. Makes perfect sense, right? I hear my little boy singing in his room right now. It's fun. I like designing at home. My kids are getting to the end of their summer. I'll miss them when they go back, because of moments like this, like when I can hear him singing in the background. But then I will also be happy for them to be back, so everybody will stop asking me if they can play the iPad or electronics. So I've got like 3 dried elements. I feel like I need a little bit of a dried element on this side. Super pretty. This side feels a little bit more rounded. This side feels a little bit more flat. So I'm going to come in at a little bit of an angle over here, working in some more of the floral. Oh, there's a leaf that I missed. So this side over here is kind of looking a little bonkers. There we go. Even just moving one stem made a difference over there. I'm going to go fill in a little bit more over here. These are pretty. It's going to be a simple design. I think this is going to come together really quick because I'm not using a ton of elements. Y'all know in a lot of my videos I use a lot of different elements of floral when I'm arranging. And this one I'm kind of just sticking to less, so I'm only using 1, 2, 3, 4 elements. Technically 5 if you consider the sunflowers that have had their petals removed. Now, you can see there's kind of sunflower, sunflower, sunflower. There's kind of a void over here, so I want to come back over and work in another sunflower or 2 over here. Just to make sure that I have, when this is in its vase that I can see sunflowers from multiple angles. Oh, the cardinal basil, it almost smells spicy, y'all. Like a spicy basil. I know that sounds like an odd thing to say, but it really does. Look how great the yellow centers of the sunflowers look. So fun. Okay, look how quickly that all came together. I only have one more piece of celosia, so let me look and see. I'm going to turn the bouquet and I'm going to look at it from multiple angles and see if there's an area that I feel like I need it. I think I'm going to work right here because this feels a little darker over here. So I think having a little bit of burst of the pink would be nice right there. Okay, I'm going to go through at this point, I'm going to pull up a few of the elements that have gotten sunk down a little bit just so I can make sure I see them a little more. Mainly the sunflowers. I do want to pull this basil out a little bit right here. And then I might add a little bit of dried element over here. Nothing too crazy, just simple. Okay. Okay, so I want to try something today. Instead of tying this off, I kind of want to see if I can cut it and put it in. I would not do this for typically any vase. The reason I'm choosing it is because this vase has a small opening that is not much larger than this circumference of the handle of my bouquet. So I kind of want to try that. I'm also going for a loose kind of rustic effect with this look, especially including these dried elements in it. And so I think it might be a good opportunity to try something like this. I do want to put a little bit more dried over here. Hold up. As I'm looking at this. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I've already filled my vase with water. I always fill my vase right at the beginning. And then I'm going to try to look at it and guesstimate how short I need to be cutting these stems. Oh, the dried ones are really hard to cut. I might should have thought of that ahead of time. Try again on this guy. Let me see if I can break it. There we go. All right. So I'm not going to tie it off. I'm going to very carefully, still holding my grip with my left hand, get all the stems in and gently lower this design in. Okay. Now I definitely loosened up when I was placing it in. So what I'm going to do now is just give it a little bit of wiggle and turn it on my Lazy Susan. All right, so I feel like everything's kind of fitted down in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, I'm going to pull in a few elements, pull up a few elements. Mainly I'm focusing on these bright sunflowers that I want to be a main kind of statement piece of the design. So I might move them a little bit if they're not showing up. Like this one over here is kind of tucked down a lot. So I think I'm going to move this one to where it's more up towards the center. There we go. always like to sit at eye level when I'm finishing up an arrangement, because typically this arrangement sits in the center of my kitchen table right here. So I want to be able to get the viewpoint that I would have, you know, sitting at the kitchen table. It makes sense. If I'm only looking at the arrangement on top, well, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, you know. I want to be able to view it from a point of view where it's going to be consistently viewed. Okay. All right. I like it. I'm happy with it. Okay, that was kind of, okay, so a couple of different things we did different today, just to kind of go over that. We included dried elements, which is something I don't typically do quite a bit. I do save these boxwoods, these little lens. I get maybe 1 or 2 of these every season, and I trim them out and I save them, and they've been perfectly dried outside. And so I love the contrast, and I typically use them in the fall, but I thought, what the heck, I'll try some for the summer feel. So that was fun using a dried element. And then also we removed the petals from the sunflowers. So we used some elements of just the center of the sunflower, which is great. And then finally, we did a hand-tied bouquet, but we ended up not tying it off. So I just trimmed it and put it directly into the vase. Remember, I selected a vase that was gonna have a similar size as the final like circumference of the handle of my bouquet. Now, if I were to choose a much larger vase, the whole hand-tied bouquet would just fall out to the sides, right? So you have to choose, if you're not gonna tie it off, you have to choose a vase that's gonna hold it firmly in place. So that's something to consider if you're working with that as well. And I think this is a really fun final look. I think it's elegant, but it definitely has some elements of rustic quality. I think I may do with some really great elements using some dried pieces, but then also using some sunflowers that had, you know, lost their petals at this point. Weren't looking as great. There's still beautiful elements within the design. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. Quick, simple, fun, smells amazing with this cardinal basil. And as always, she's a mad gardener or decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.